So I've got these cheap art booth walls. They cost $65 from Amazon. Link is in the description if you want to see the walls for yourself. But I wanted to do a weight test on these to see what they could handle. Because my first thought was that they might only be able to handle a couple of pounds. And so I've got all of these weights here. We've got 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, and 8 pounds. And we're gonna take these and we're gonna hang them from 2 drapery hooks, just like this. We're gonna see if it can handle the weight. This is the 2 pound, and it's handling it just fine. But now let's increase it a little bit. I'm kind of afraid to let it go. There's a lot of tension on there. You can see these are starting to kind of bend up there, but it's still holding. And they claim that these tarps are technically super heavy duty. So we're about to see what they can handle. Now I want to simulate some wind because right now we have this hanging in a pop-up in my backyard and there's not very much wind out here, maybe 5 miles an hour. So let's see what happens. It popped around on there. I was kind of nervous about it, but still going strong, still holding. And honestly, I don't know that any wind, it'd have to be like 40 or 60 mile an hour wind to really whip it around this much. Maybe I should be wearing safety glasses. These things are sharp. I hope they don't pop out and hit me. I don't really care about the wall if it rips. I got it just to be able to do this video and see how good it was. So I guess here we go. I'm stepping back and oh my God, it held. I never thought it would hold. All right, well, should we do the wind test? I think we must. Still going strong. They look like they're bending a little bit, right? You can see how it's denting the mesh, but it's still holding. I don't know how it will perform all day, but if it holds it with that much jiggling, it's pretty good. All right, we got an 8 pound weight. We are in the same holes that we were before. Now for the wind test. I'm stepping back again. I think this thing is just gonna come loose eventually. It's just gonna rip, but it's not. I mean, you can see now there's more of a stretch happening through these sections. But 8 pounds is quite heavy. I don't know how many art pieces that people are hanging that are 8 pounds. So if it can hold this, I think these things are pretty strong actually. And I stand corrected because my last video, I said that I wouldn't hang anything over a couple of pounds on this, but 8 pounds is holding just fine. So we're gonna go have lunch and we're gonna leave this here because I wanna see if it will end up ripping eventually. Gotta test it. So we're back out here after lunch. It's been about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and still holding strong. It's stretching, but no tearing. And there is one other thing I'd like to make clear. On the mesh panel walls from Flourish, like the professional version of this, the much more expensive version, it also weights down. When there is a lot of weight put on there, it will look very similar to this, where you can see some of it pulling and it's making the hole that this hook is in a lot bigger, but it doesn't break. And so when you see that happening with this wall, just realize that it's going to happen with the more expensive walls as well. And it doesn't mean it's going to break. As long as there's no ripping, it's good to go. And while I was inside for lunch, I weighed one of my big paintings. It's a 30 by 40 with a solid wood frame, and it weighed just under 8 pounds. So this weight being 8 pounds and holding for over an hour, I'd be very confident with hanging pieces that are large, like 5 pounds, maybe 8 pounds. I don't know if I'd go up to 10 pounds hanging them all day in high winds. I mean, that would be up to you to test out. But for what I did today, I would hang most of my work on one of these cheaper walls and be very confident with it holding up over time. So you can see when I take this off, there are definitely some holes left behind. And those might not ever shrink back up. They might be there forever. So what I would suggest is to not hang in these holes something like really heavy every time. I would hang nearby the next time. Eventually you're gonna have like lots of holes in here probably. You can see I'm pulling on them, I'm creating more. That's why these walls are cheaper. They are not going to last 10 years or 20 years like those more expensive walls, but they'll last you a pretty good amount of time. And in case you haven't seen it, I made another video that really explains the differences between the cheap walls and the more expensive walls in a lot of detail. You should check that out here if you want to watch it. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.